Welcome back to Beyond the Sold Sign, Real Estate Unplugged. We are your hosts and favorite realtors, Naya
and Lauren.
And today, y'all, we have a pretty interesting story for you today. So remember that these stories are from agents and others in the industry from all over. We're not going to use names or locations, but this is just a fun way for you all to get some tips and a little preview at what's actually going on in the real estate world. So let's get into today's story. This one is called Weed Lab.
I need a drink before we
start this one.
Before we start this one, y'all, because just like Naya said, this is going to be a good one. I once had a listing for a seemingly ordinary suburban house. It had been on the market for a while with no offers, which was unusual considering the competitive market at the time. I decided to dig deeper into why this house wasn't selling. Upon further investigation, I discovered that the basement of the house was hiding a secret. The previous owner had converted it into an elaborate, state-of-the-art, underground marijuana grow operation. The setup included high-intensity lights, an advanced irrigation system, and even a ventilation system to control the odor. The extent of the operation was mind-boggling. It turned out that the owner had been running this illegal enterprise for years without anyone in the neighborhood suspecting a thing. When the operation was discovered, it led to a police investigation, and needless to say, the property's market value plummeted. To make matters even more bizarre, during an open house, a group of teenagers broke into the property unaware of its history. They accidentally triggered the alarm system, which still worked even after the grow operation had been dismantled. The police were called, and it turned into a chaotic scene with news crews arriving to report the situation. In the end, the property was eventually sold at a steep discount, and the new owners had completely renovated the basement to erase any trace of its previous use. This story serves as a reminder that you never know what secrets a property might be hiding, and it's essential to do a thorough due diligence before buying or selling. This is pretty much telling us that there was an entire weed operation going on. And I want to know, what year was this? Like, was this like now, like when everything's like legal? Or I have a feeling this was like years ago before things started to get, everyone got comfortable with it. I feel like because this wouldn't, I don't think, have happened then, because now, like in certain states, I think most of them probably now, you can actually grow in your house like up to a certain amount of plants. So I don't think this would be, but they made it seem as if they were running a true like huge operation, which
a whole operation.
You can't do that. And the neighbors didn't even know.
That's what I'm like.
Had no idea.
The neighbors had no clue, like.
Or did they? Did they know and they were customers?
Right, maybe.
I feel like they could have been easily customers, and that's why they didn't even say anything. Because if I had a neighbor and I could get it for free and I had to be quiet, I think most people would probably
be quiet.
Yeah, most people would be quiet and say, you know what, you're not bothering anyone, so yeah, let's go ahead and do it. I don't think
that's crazy. Imagine though, just like never knowing that your neighbor was doing that.
I know. This is like the one thing. I love a lot of stuff about real estate, but actually like owning a house, and even if you're in an apartment you don't actually own, you never know what is going on next door.
Yeah.
Like you have no idea. You can be in an apartment building, a townhouse, a single family home. It doesn't matter. You have no idea what your next door neighbor is doing or what's going on in their house, and you may be very surprised if you do go in.
Seriously.
Because I feel like I've been surprised on a few occasions. Like, oh, this is going on in your house? Like, okay, well, whatever works for you. And again, it's their house. So if they feel comfortable doing it, then that's perfectly fine. But this was interesting.
This is crazy.
Break this down a little bit more. Yeah. Now, the value of the house ended up decreasing, which is why I feel like this was not recent.
Exactly.
Because the house, I don't think would have plummeted. I think it may either have stayed at competitive market or, may have sold a little less, but definitely not plummeted the way that they said here.
I don't think it would have plummeted so deeply. I think some people would have found it like today in today's time would have found it like highly valuable. So
I think so too. And it was on the news. So with it being on the news, would that make the house itself plummet? Or do you think because it went viral that it would actually bring more value to the house? That's what I'm kind of...
I think because of the time that it likely happened, it was like looked at negatively and kind of like shunned on. But had it been on the news today and like gone viral today, that would have brought like excitement to it, probably a little bit of competition or value. And I don't know, folks in the younger generation, they would be eager to buy that property with all that stuff set in place. Like
they would not have renovated the basement. They would
like,
been
this is fine.
Yeah. Actually, it's already set up for us. We are actually going to
have a little booming business.
Absolutely, 100%. And they don't have to do a bunch of stuff. So these people actually decided to go in and completely renovate it. So I feel like they got a good deal. They probably got a really good deal for the house because if they got it for a regular price, they may not have had the funds to renovate it.
Right.
But because everything that happened with it, the house actually plummeted. So the value went down, decreased quite a bit. So now that means that they got it for a lot cheaper than what they would have gotten it for. And now they have all this cash to go ahead and renovate the basement the way that they want to do it.
Right.
So which is, I think, that's fair.
That's good.
Would you buy the house?
I don't know. And then, I mean, I like the idea of like, cool, getting a discount and now like I'm free to do renovations. But like, I'm also sometimes into just moving in and not have to do anything.
That part.
So
oh my God.
That would like maybe, give me a little hesitation. But I think though, for whoever bought it and today it would be like a valuable thing.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. Okay. And definitely got to do your due diligence.
Yeah.
When going into, some of these homes. And I feel like they did, from breaking down the story, I feel like they did, but maybe not to an extent as what they should have. Because surprisingly, as a realtor, and I've had this situation happen where I had no idea that a seller had like passed away in a house because it was not disclosed. Ooh. That actually happened during COVID, unfortunately. And it was like, oh man, that sucks. But I would have also liked to have been able to tell my buyers this as well, but I didn't know. But again, doing your due diligence and asking questions. Yeah. Sellers are supposed to tell like and relay that information, especially if you ask, has anyone passed away in this house? You're supposed to say something. And surprisingly, we asked and they said no. And we found out later. Wait a minute. They said no. Yep. And I'm not going to say like, what type of relationship it was, but they ended up saying no. And I don't know what made my buyers feel like they asked quite we saw probably 3 or 4 other houses prior to that one. And 2 of the other homes, they actually did ask that same question. And the other sellers, they said no. This seller said no. And we found out 2 weeks after closing that absolutely someone did ended up passing away in the house. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I really wish, they still live there. But I really wish that we could have still, had that conversation. It would have been an honest conversation with the seller. So
goodness gracious.
I know. But but it's important to, do your due diligence, find out whatever previous history on the property you can. Your realtor, can be helpful in doing this, but like, check out the neighborhood news, reports and things that are local. Because they're public. Yeah. It's public information.
Yeah, public records. Like, dig into all that.
Yep. At 100%. It's all public records. You can go right on Google or type in the address. You should be able to see a lot of things, but obviously certain things are kind of hidden. Yeah. So,
Well, that's a wrap for today's episode of Beyond the Sold Side Real Estate Unplugged. We hope that you enjoyed today's episode and the crazy story and insights that we shared.
If you found this episode valuable, please don't forget to subscribe, comment, and like on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback helps us grow and bring you the best content.
We're always on the lookout for more incredible real estate stories, so if you have a tale to tell or a question to ask, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube.
We hope you have an amazing MLK holiday.